So, the two routes I have in my head are Stone Hands first, which is just a the point of the exercise is to spend roughly a minute to a minute and a half grinding at the very start of the run to get up to 26.95 so that you can purchase Stone Hands on the third screen. The benefit to this is that you no longer have to care about money for the entire run. If something goes awry during the farming at the beginning, you just reset. And you don't have to learn any weapon-based fights. It's literally the same fight for every boss. It's just the Stone Hands punching stun lock for everybody. Everybody gets the same treatment. I will say that depending on what you're playing on, console versus emulator, the strats that I'm going to employ might be they might not be available to some folks, because it seems as though there are either two different versions of the ROM, or a ROM and emulator combination may yield a different gang spawn on the first screen compared to console. And even then, I've seen iterations where somebody's playing on console and they get a different gang spawn. Realistically, what you want is you want to have frat guys on the very first screen. That is what you want. Because the vast majority of frat guys will carry at least one chain, and the chain is the best weapon in the game because it has the best reach, which means it makes it effectively the safest weapon. So yeah, so first speed tech, you pick Ryan. Ryan saves about 8 seconds in text over Alex. There's only 2 bits of exposition that are longer than 2 lines of text. One is with Roxy on the bridge, and one is Simon as he's dying at the end of the run. In both cases, they have more to say to Alex than to Ryan, so you pick Ryan. Free time save. Just remember the guy in the white pants. And then we'll go message speed fast, because we want to go fast. And if you make it slower or normal, it's super slow. So, again, free time saves. And then from here, if you're the type of person that likes to have an offset to your timer, then I would use Live Split and create an offset of negative 6.83 seconds. And you start your timer at the moment you press start here, and then you just let the title screen play out. So you go bang, and then this is 6.83 seconds until you have control. The very first thing we're going to do is get to high ground. So, if you run, this isn't the pattern we want anyway, but if you run until you get to the H in high school, while holding up and then jump when you get to the H, you should have enough momentum, because your jump height depends on the momentum that you have, how long you've been running, essentially. If you run a tiny bit, and jump, then it's a lower jump. If you run a little bit more, then it's a slightly higher jump. And then if you run a long time, then it's a really high jump. And we'll get into how to use that. But this is not the pattern I'm looking for. So this, if I was doing this route, I would want to reset right away, because I want both guys to come over here. But I want them to be waiting for me for when I jump down. So let's try this again. Again, having strats set up for yourself at the very beginning of a run is helpful, and the Stone Hands first route I find is more useful, because a lot of the things that make you reset are going to make you reset right at the beginning, and then beyond that, you don't necessarily care. Alright, I'm not going to mess around here. So run to the H, and jump. Hey, Clay. No, I've just been getting into it. I'm literally at the first screen. Paul, advanced mode is just a hellacious difficulty setting where every gang member basically hits with the force of a boss. So you're basically within range of getting 2-shot the entire run, and it's very little fun. I would say very little fun indeed. And if you normally would have to hit a boss with 4 rounds of Stone Hands, it's probably closer to 7 or 8. It feels like everybody has double HP, double stats, pretty much. So this is the pattern that I want. I want to, like, basically, as soon as you have control, you want to run and hold up. You get to the H. FBS, thank you so much for that raid. How's it going, man? I hope Kid Icarus treated you well. But you want to get to here, and ideally... Why do you back off and run to them when they are down instead of just camping on them? Oh, okay, yeah, that is a relevant question at any time, because damage scales based upon what you're doing. A standing attack does less damage than a running attack. And then punches and kicks do less damage than weapons do. So it's like standing punch, standing weapon, running weapon, and then standing thrown weapon, and then running thrown weapon. I think maybe the second and third ones don't necessarily line up. Maybe like a running swinging weapon is probably above standing thrown, but I'm not necessarily sure. I don't have all the stats for that. Captain Goof has this game completely like deconstructed essentially. Yes, yeah, all of the running stone hands hit harder, and it's not just the first one, because sometimes I'll run at an enemy and only hit him with the third one and it'll still kill him. Hey Darth, how's it going? Hey Will, thank you for the congrats. Darth, I have literally just started, so like we're still sitting here on the first screen. I'm about to go over the standard stone hands first, like not the world record route, but just the safer route here. But this is the pattern that I want to get. Since a few more of you have shown up, I'm gonna show it one more time. We're gonna go Ryan because it saves time over picking Alex because there's less text. We go fast for message speed because that's faster than anything else. And then as soon as we get control, we're gonna dash and we're gonna hold up. When you get to the H in high school, you jump and you end up on the wall. And ideally, both gang members are going to run over here and stop, and one of them's going to have a chain. If they don't, you can just reset. That's fine. But you essentially want the weapon right off the top. Again, I mentioned a minute ago that you may not have, if you're playing this on emulator, you may end up getting generic dudes. You might have to fight hand-to-hand, which is unfortunate. You really do want the chain strats for this, and not every emulator treats it this way. Some emulators... give you frat guys. I don't have all the research on that. But anyway, if you have a ROM or some way you're playing the game where you get frat guys first, you run, you jump up, and if you get both of them underneath you, this is perfect. So you can turn around, drop down, and start kicking. They'll both die. I'm going to switch over to my money here, and I'm going to hug the top wall. That was unfortunate, but that's okay. He is the one gang member that is probably the most volatile out of the frat guys bunch. But like now, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to kind of chill here and wait to see... There he is. I'm waiting to see the next gang member, and I'm just going to camp by the weapon because they're going to run up and try to grab the weapons here. And you could literally just like sit here. Sometimes they're going to troll, and they're going to go down to the bottom of the screen. These guys are being super trolly. Most of the time, I find that you get guys that are hugging the top of the wall, but these guys are not cooperating. And we should have one more coming, because if you get all 9 frat guys, you should have 24.95. There we go, 24.95. That was really slow. But again, it was pretty safe. I took a couple hits, I'm at 5 bars of health. It's not a big deal. Most of the time, the next screen will give you generic dudes, which is perfect, if that's the case. Generic dudes is ideal here. It's not the mob. We're not doing that. Generic dudes. Perfect. Okay. So here, they drop 50 cents a piece, so you want to kill exactly 4 of them. I'm not running full steam at them here, because you got to be careful about that trash can. And now that I've killed 4 of them, I can literally get rid of my chain, and I can bail. The last store on this screen is a bookstore. And poof, $26.95. There's my stone hands. Easy peasy. And the rest of this run is all about punching. There's a little bit of, we probably want to use a box too, but we'll get to that part. So, yeah, I already read the book. So at this point, in this route, now the next thing we need to do is we need to get to Rocco, kill Rocco, and then kill ourselves, because the Death Warp is still the fastest way to go. And now there's really no true penalty. In the world record route, the penalty is that you lose half of your money, and that's what makes that routing so tight, is that you're trying to get the exact right amount of money to be able to afford Stonehands after Mojo, who's the fourth boss. But we'll get there. So the next thing I'm going to focus on here is juking, okay? Because a lot of this run is just avoiding stuff. Then that's also, there was follow. Thank you so much for that follow. I do appreciate it. You want to try to avoid pretty much everything until you get to the warehouse now. So we're going to juke. Rule 1 about juking: if you can, juke down, not up. Okay? A lot of the hitboxes are high, not low, for punches, for kicks, for weapons. If you try to juke up around somebody, you're gonna fail most of the time. But juking down, because everything scales up, you're more likely to just kind of make them whiff if you're just going down. But now I say that, but don't hold down. I recommend tapping down. And this is something you just kind of have to get a feel for over time, but you only have a certain amount of real estate before you hit the bottom of the screen. That Z-axis is not that wide. And the moment you run out of room, if a gang member is still off screen to your right and you're running at them, they are probably at the same point on the Z-axis that you are, and you're not in a good spot at that point. They're likely going to hurt you. So, again, we come over to this next screen. There's jocks here, and I'm just like tapping down periodically, like just light taps. Doesn't have to be crazy. Okay. Oh man, I can't really. This is not a. It's not a good training session if there's nobody here. This one, I'll get more into these jukes on the world record route tutorial, but. Like, one way that you can approach this room if you are worried, since you have Stonehands, you can try to go in and punch people, but you could also hold up and just get up here on the wall, which will make them stop. And then you can hop down. Hold on a second. My save state is back here at Stonehands from earlier today. I do want to be saving states as I go. So you see like little taps down. Depending on the gang you get, you may want to be more or less aggressive. When you want to get up here, if you can get up here, we'll save a state right here. You can just kind of run to the pole. Don't run into the pole. Run to the pole. So you want to kind of come up short of it. There's good. Like anywhere around here is good. And think about where the gang members are on the screen. The further left they are, the more room you essentially have to get away from them. But you can hold down and right here, and hop down and forward, and then just kind of walk it in. A slightly more aggressive way would be to tap down while you're running, because then your forward momentum may take you past the pole, and then you can just hold up to run. So, like, that's something you can work on, but you may end up hitting your face on the pole a few times until you get the timing for it. So again, when you enter this room, you hold up a little bit and you can start running and holding up. But if you don't want to try to juke around these guys, then you run up to there, hop down, and you're through. So that room is kind of prickly for people, I would say. Like it's a toughie because there's the pit right in front of you. You can't start running. You can't be like buffering right inputs to try to run. When you get to that screen, you will fall into the pit and die, and that's no fun. So you have to hold up at least a little bit. I think Will, you're here. You said something about how it's only like a couple of frames really, or like a couple of pixels that you have to move up before you can like dash and hold up and right and clear that gap. But it's more than 0, and that's the point. So Roxy just spoke to us for a bit. Not a whole lot. As soon as she's done, you can take off and start running. Here's another juking screen. So this is where I'm going to show off my fancy technology. All right. You see my little cursor right here. See me right here? So you need to leave the room up. Okay. So you got to get to the top of the screen. But like I said, In the room with the big pit. Like, you have to hold up a tiny bit first, but it's not very much at all. I think you had mentioned that it's only like a handful of pixels or a handful of frames that you need to be moving up before you can start running. It's not a lot, but it's more than zero, essentially. Like, you can't just be buffering run inputs because it'll just go badly. So essentially, like, so we're right here. We need to get up to the exit. However, like I mentioned, juking down is always better. Yeah, definitely avoid the frame perfect dash in the pit. So what I typically do, and again, I have a few rooms here where I have typical juking patterns that this will remove some of the mystery to like some of my decision making, because there are several rooms where I've made the decision long ago what I'm going to do when I get there. For this room, it is down and then up. So it's down and I'm kind of waiting to see gang members. And then once I think I can get around them, I'll come back up. If I can't get there in time, if I can't get back up in time, then I'm going to have to just like pull out of the dash before I get to the door. So that was not necessarily a very good room. That was not necessarily a good pattern. I didn't mean to hit B. We're going to do this probably more than I care to, where I just have to try to remember to save states as I go. So we'll sit through the exposition one more time. I'll save a state this time instead of loading, because load is B, save is A. We'll get there. It's just unfortunate that I happened to not save a state after like the one spot where we have to sit here for 10 seconds. But that's okay. Okay. So I'm going to go down and then I'm going to hold up. And that time I didn't quite get there. I had to kind of bail on it a little bit, but ideally what you want to do is you want to be at the point where, like, if you hold up too soon, you'll run into the left pillar moving left to right. Like, if I hold up now too early, I'm going to run into that. So maybe the first of those two trees is a little late. It is a sneaky pillar. It is indeed. So that's too late. So it looks like before we get like this tree, if you start holding up at that tree, it's too late. So maybe it's like somewhere around like here is when you need to start holding up if you're holding down the whole time. So that's a little early. It's amazing how narrow that range is. So, and then this one here, ideally you want the homeboys in this room or nobody at all. This is one of the first things that I can tell you about what little we know about the locking in of gang spawns from one room to the next. That's a good point. That is a very good point. So what Will is saying is that if you are up at the top here, well, I didn't hit down fast enough. But if you happen to be up at the top here, you can just tap down and go around it. Here, if you see the mob, you want to jump up on the wall. Or you want to leave and reload it. Ideally, you want homeboys. I mean, now again, I'm also thinking about like world record strats effectively by mistake here. Because I have stone hands, so I could just punch their daylights out. But I want this crate. I want this crate just in case I need, well, not in case, but it's helpful to use through the wall against enemies. But I also want it for the death ward. So, Pixel, yeah, I'm with you. I understood, but thank you for the clarification. When I'm in the warehouse here, I do prefer a homeboys pattern. They are kind of wretched to fight in melee range because there's a lot of lag in the warehouse, and they always get their way. They always win the 50-50s there. But because I have stone hands, I can kind of chuck the crate around and not worry about it. Word of advice: when you're in here, if you are navigating up these boxes, do not be against the back wall here when you try to jump. 'Cause if you try to run and jump up, there's a wall. There's a wall on the last pixel. You can't jump up, you just bounce off of it. There's a lot of tricky things about this place. Like, for instance, I believe it works on this side. I am flush. I'm holding up and flush against this wall. I believe I can run past it to the left, but not back to the right. Yeah. But I didn't tap up at all. It's just, here, it's a wall. And at that same height, it's not. From the other side. And it works the opposite way on the other side of the screen. So you need to be careful for that. So this is the pattern that I'm used to getting from grinding. This is the pattern that I really like, because these guys, homeboys, desperately want to get into melee range, and they're docile until they get there, which means that you can just walk up to the wall here, and they're not going to try to hit you, even if they have a weapon that will reach. Noise Police, thank you so much for the host. So you can coax them up to the wall. If they're not getting close enough, you can do a tiny little tap of right on the D-pad. If you can manage to turn around without actually walking away from the wall, because walking away is no good. You need to be flush against the wall, but you can coax them all the way over if you just tap right. So a lot of times when I come in here and I'm doing PB attempts, I'll like run up to here and I'll tap right to get up to the wall, and then I'll tap right again to turn around, because they might be away grabbing a weapon or what have you. And then I find that you want to be a little bit lower than them, and then you turn and you swat them a couple times with the crate until they both die. And you can get the two of them first, or you can get the two on the right first. Either way is fine. Doesn't really matter. I say I want the crate for the Death Warp, because you still want to do the Death Warp, and that's just because if you have stone hands and everything goes smoothly, you're going to have too much health. So you're going to want to have an efficient way to deal damage to yourself. When we're doing stone hands first, I'm also not going to bother trying to damage myself a little bit ahead of time. A funny thing about that, Noise, there was a tie. There was a tie between Bruce and Cecil in the bid war, to the penny. So they let me choose, and I opted to choose the name that got donated first, which was Bruce. So, much love to everybody who donated for Cecil, but the first donation that came in was for Bruce, so tie goes to the first one. It was the only thing I could think of on the spot, because I was just trying to focus on getting ready to do the run. So, but yeah. So, I'm going to do a running jump over this wall. Right, I mean, yeah, like I'm thinking like tie goes to the runner. So, thank you. So for Rocco, so we don't actually want the crate for Rocco because we have stone hands, so you can literally just chuck it away and not worry about it for now. Again, you don't want to be at the topmost pixel. Remember that wall thing I showed you on the other side? I don't know if I'm gonna... Here, I'll save a state here. Look, you can run into that. You can run into that. Okay, neither of them spawned Rocco, so that's good. So you don't want to be at the very top pixel. So you see the little, like, checkerboard there, the little checkers of, like, the 2 pixels there? Like, you could be on the checker, or you can be, like, on the first purple pixel, but you don't want to be completely hidden. You want to be able to see your feet. If you can't see your feet, you're too far up. Anywhere below there is fine. So yeah, so Rocco, this is your tutorial for fighting. Running stone hands punches over and over and over again, and it'll take a little while for you to get used to how long it takes each boss to recover. They're all different. They all have different stamina levels. They all have different willpower levels. So, you know, they all recover differently. But so I like to run in, but I will also show that like because every one of them is going to monologue, you can walk up until they spawn, and then you can get a clear line on them. Now, just to give an example, like if I run up here, like he talks, I have lots of time. If I wait for him to stand up, he might get a shot in on me, and he's free. He's free to attack me and stuff. So which is bad. Which is why you see me kind of timing in my dashes. Like I'm not wasting time. I'm running in and punching, and then immediately backing off to create space so that I can run in again. Like if you just sit on top of him, then when you try to run, you're probably gonna whiff on part of it. And you also see that he gets up. There's a concept called stamina, which is your health, which is my health is my stamina. Like if I come over here and I go into my status menu, I've got stamina, and I've got the other stat that you care about here is willpower. Bosses have much more willpower than you. Once you get to a certain level of willpower, you can survive a death blow, essentially. So what you have to do with every boss is you need to get through all of their stamina and into their willpower. The way you can tell is if you let them stand up and they automatically start fighting, or they get up, as I like to call it, huffing and puffing. If they're like out of breath, they give you a couple more seconds. So after his first round, he gets right back up and he's ready to go. So he still has stamina left. After his second round, he still has stamina. Okay, so he probably doesn't have much willpower, perhaps because he's the first boss, I'm not sure. So yeah, 3 rounds of stone hands and he's dead. Easy peasy. So, as far as the crate kill goes, the crate kill, you're gonna kill yourself with the crate. To elaborate on the difference between different levels of damage. If I stand here and throw the crate at myself, it deals 2 damage. I can also get 1 on a bounce. If I run and throw it, it does 3 and then 2 on the bounce. So, running thrown weapon does more damage than standing thrown weapon. Oh wow, okay. That was interesting. Let me reiterate a point here. Is this pixel? Okay. So, okay, this top pixel, you want to be able to see your feet, but you also, clarification on that previous point, you don't want to be in the middle of the purple. This is still a wall. You want to be down a little bit more. 1 more pixel down. Okay. Oh yeah, because most enemies they're just gonna like chuck weapons at you out of anger. And it's not good. And then for funsies, you don't really need that item, but let's see if I can do this right. If you jump and throw a weapon, the damage that it scales a tiny bit more. So like I've been able to kill myself with 5 bars with like a jumping thrown weapon that just happens to hit me twice. But I still don't want that. Hey, what's going on, Dav? And Hugh, how's it going? So again, 3 rounds there and he's dead. So now I need to kill myself. So if I do like a running thrown weapon, it's difficult for me to say exactly where. I don't know how many pixels it takes Ryan to stop once you've performed an action. I'd have to like do some more deliberate frame counting, but essentially what I'm looking for is I want the left edge of Ryan's sprite to kind of line up with the door, right? So like that's what I'm looking for when I'm running. Like when I throw, like I want him to get to the door. Like I want him to be like here so that it bounces, so it hits him and then there's still enough bounce on it that it is able to also hit me a second time. Because sometimes if your spacing isn't that good, if you throw from too far away, then it's no good. Also beware if you throw too close. Actually, that one was good, but if you throw too close, you throw it over the wall, over your head, and you go, "Grr!" and you get really frustrated, because that is super frustrating. So yeah, this is what you're looking to do. You can essentially take care of this. So take care of Rocco in 3 rounds, and you should be able to take care. Oh hey, I didn't get full rounds of attacks in on him there. So apparently, if you don't have 3 clean rounds, you may want to prep for 4. You may want to prep for 4 rounds of stone hands just in case. Like there's no harm if you go like this. There's no harm in like going in a 4th time just to be sure. So apparently 3 is not necessarily what you're looking for. So again, looking at the door. That's like roughly where I want to be, and that deals 5 of my 8 bars. Darth, I will. This part of the tutorial is just going to be for stone hands first. So, but I will go back through the game again. That's a good point too, Will. That is an excellent point as well. So let's bring up Will's point right now, because I just happened to get a gang spawn that was 2 on the right. If you get 2 gang members on the left, and I don't have my crate, but that's okay. I should have brought it with me, but I didn't. If you get 2 gang members that are on the left, for instance here, So again, this is that thing where I want to get them to walk up, so I try to do the turnaround there. So there's 2 coins here. If I jump over the wall too quickly, I got one guy over here, but the other guy is back here, which is no good. No good at all. So what I want is you have to wait, and that's largely when we're trying to do prep for a death warp, for instance. Come on. When we're prepping for a death warp, that's why you might see me like come up here and throw the box at myself here to deal a little bit of damage. I'm also wasting time. I want the 2 coins to go away. Late jumps. So that when I get over the wall, there are 2 guys on the left, and nobody spawns behind me, because that's no good. Silly guy. So yeah, that is the explanation there. Gang members have a tendency to spawn on the opposite side of the room that you are on. And that is a way to avoid that. Dev, thank you so much for the 38 months of support. I really appreciate it. So you can see, like, a running throw does 3, standing throw does 2. But the running throw has the advantage of... And again, I really should have my health visible so you can see what's going on here. So you can do that in 2 throws. You should be able to do that in 2 throws comfortably, and you only have to nail the running throw 1 time. So from here, we need to die, right? Another fun fact about the game is that walls don't deal damage. There's a common misconception as people run into walls and die, that the wall killed me. Walls can't kill you in this game. It's the ground that kills you. Every time you land on the ground, the game checks to see if you have any stamina, and if you don't, then it decides that you've died. So that's why we spend all this time damaging ourselves, because if you keep running into a wall over and over again, like here, like if I just chuck this crate away, if I run into the wall, I still have 8 bars. I still have 8 bars. I still have 8 bars. You know, it doesn't do anything. You need to have a weapon at your disposal that can deal all the damage for you. And then when you run into the wall, it goes, oh hey, you have no stamina left. You're dead. So, the point of that is to death warp. The death warp concept is the game is linear for bosses with one exception. You have to run all the way to the warehouse to kill Rocco, but then you have to run all the way back to Sherman Park to kill Blade. And that's like 10 screens or so. But when you die, the 2 things that happen are half of your money gets taken away, and you go back to the previous mall. Not the last one you were at, the previous one to the left. So, the mall to the left of the warehouse happens to be 8 of those 10 screens away, roughly. And it is about roughly 40 seconds faster than running all the way back, which is pretty substantial. So yeah, so we've death warped. And now here we are back at the previous mall. Once you're coming out of the death warp, you literally just hold up to come back here, and then you're going to run to the left. This screen, I don't necessarily have. This pattern here might bone me. These guys right here are not pleasant. But essentially, the juke, again, is still down and then up. You want to use that downward real estate as much as possible. You don't necessarily have to get all the way down to the bottom of the screen, because then you won't be able to get back up to the door in time to enter Sherman Park without stopping. But you want to try to work your way around the gang members. So in that case, that worked out pretty well. And they're doing a little dance for us. They're so happy that we got past them. Look at that. Look at them go. It's wonderful. Next boss is Blade. And again, this I have to remind myself at this point, because I do the world record route all the time pretty much, that I have stone hands. So again, now you're just autopilot. You're running up and you're punching him in the face. And you just have to get used to roughly the amount of time that it takes between each round. So again, Like, I don't think I have a save state here, but that's okay. Because we can always fight bosses again. Because again, like, first round, he still has stamina. Second round, he still has stamina. So just, like, to give you the expectations of, like, how many rounds do you think you're going to have to go through before he gets up like that? And when he gets up like that, like huffing and puffing, you've basically gotten through all of his stamina, and you're into his willpower. And when you're into his willpower, you can line up your punch. You can, like, wait, like, rather than don't feel like you have to rush into it. You can wait for him to stand up and then run in and punch him again. Because now you're just kind of burning through his willpower, and as soon as he doesn't have enough willpower, then he's dead. So in this case, like, so probably if you're not on target and nailing the first, like nailing all 3 punches each of the first few rounds, then you probably want to give him 4 rounds before you slow down at all. But again, it just takes a little bit of getting used to. All I will ever preach is practice. All right, this guy, this pattern here. So these jukes, you don't want to juke like that. That's way too low. But that's the danger. So I'm kind of doing an S pattern, like a zigzag. Yeah, an S, like a sideways. I say more sideways S. So you got to move up a little bit first, and then it's like a zigzag to try to get to the doorway. That's pretty much what I'm aiming for here. But again, because this is like stone, this is empty. Perfect. Oh yeah, we got it's Madden style here. But if you're doing stuff like just trying to be safe here, you can just jump on the wall the same way we did with the first one, and then hop down and get out of there. This one, you've got a lot of real estate here, so I'm just gonna like tap down periodically. But again, don't hold down because you run out of real estate way too fast. This one is then... Whoop, okay, that was an important one. I would love to be able to do that one again. There are times where if somebody is chasing you and they have a weapon, and you are tapping down to try to get to... but you can't outrun them, and they're chasing you with a weapon and you know they're going to smack you with it, you can bait that shot out by just canceling your dash. I didn't know it was coming, so that I didn't have an opportunity. There's usually a pretty good opportunity later in the run to see it, but if you've got somebody who's breathing down your neck, he's not going to breathe down my neck. He's no good, because he's a generic dude. That doesn't help. But this is one of those screens where that happens. Let's see if I can get a pattern. No, he needs to have a weapon. So, I mean, what you're doing is you're baiting the swing out of them. So, like... Oh, I am back here. I didn't mean to, I have to remember to save my states as I go. But you can see how I'm only tapping down. I'm not, like, slamming down, because I don't want to run out of real estate too quickly. I'm not really getting the pattern here. I may have to show it to you a little bit later. Yeah, I'll show it to you later. But essentially, this pattern is, again, it's another, like, down and then up. Well, that doesn't look good, does it? It's a shame. That might have worked out. Actually, I think I was just going to get shellacked in the first place. But yeah, this is another, like, down and then up to the door sort of thing. And homeboys, when you're going to juke around them, you want to give them as wide a berth as you possibly can. Like here, I want to get all the way up to the wall, and I kind of want to get, like, down, like, pretty close to this pit there. Like, you'd be amazed at how far in you have to be to actually, like, get hurt by that pit. But homeboys, so often, if you're running through here, so often they will ruin your day. Oh, here we go. Here's a fun little fact. If this room is empty, the warehouse has homeboys in it 100% of the time. So you can either get to the box here and jump up, or you can like run past it and then run and jump. It's whatever one is more comfortable for you. And I will get into, there are other faster ways to navigate the warehouse, but that's for a later time. There isn't too much that I can say about, like, again, I'm just juking down. Like, that was just a whole lot of juking downward, as much as we possibly could. I think you could probably hold down. Ow. Like, if you hold down at the screen transition, then they might be less likely to throw right away, or you might have a better chance. Ow, ow. Don't throw me. I don't want to die yet. So again, you have stone hands. It doesn't necessarily make fighting gangs any more pleasant. And again, you need to pick up the coin so the next gang member spawns. There's 4 of them, and then you have the 3rd boss. So yeah. 3rd boss. Turk. Stone hands. You can walk over to get him to show up on the screen in monologue, and then it's just, you know, you have your choice. I have a preference. My preference is to just run in and punch. But if you're not comfortable with that sort of timing, then you can wait. Or, like, you can walk up. You have time because he wants to talk to you. It's your choice. If you want to be able to see his eyes first before you punch him, that's perfectly fine. Okay, we'll keep on moving here. Next room. Squids are cheap shot artists. They love to hide. They'll run in and take one shot at you, and then they'll run away. Look at Byron running away. That was Byron with the curly hair. Not much to speak of. Watch out for these pipes. They're kind of nasty. But again, Mojo, stone hands. Just stone hands. Lots of... Oh, hey, I was slow. Let's do that again. Another thing, if somebody runs off the left side of the screen, if you just walk down, you'll likely bait them back onto the screen. And if you walk down to the bottom, they will come back. See? There's Byron. Here's another thing. You see this block fest? See this block fest? There's a block party right here. Overlapping your sprite. Oh man, he stopped blocking. I want to be able to show that off properly. Actually, I'm not sure that the mob is going to block. Okay, so you see how he's blocking. Stop it! Gosh darn it. He won't stop blocking. He won't stop stopping blocking. Now they got weapons. Oh, now I'm dead. That doesn't work either. Oh. We'll have plenty of time to show how to get around blocking, but essentially you want to overlap your sprite so that you're practically slightly behind them, and then they will stop blocking. They also do stop blocking when they go for a weapon, but if you get into like a little chain block party with them, you may not, and you're just mashing A to protect yourself, then you may never give them the chance to go and get a weapon. Also, another fun thing, you see how he's talking and talking? Oh yeah, right, I don't have any health. But if you fall down while a boss is monologuing, they start over. So instant time loss. So don't... Oh man, what a jerk. Yeah, I don't have any health to show that off, but... But yeah, if they start talking and you run into a wall, they will start talking all over again. So in Mojo's case, he has 2 things to say, and he'll start that whole thing over again. I've seen somebody lose a PB because they were screwing around after killing Simon, and fell over, and Simon started his entire monologue over again, and he lost like 6 seconds. So, you don't, it's unfortunate. You don't want to do it. You don't want it to happen. They've PB'd since then. It's all good. So, nothing to do on this first screen. On the faster route, this is where you'd want to go and get stone hands, but we already have it. We want to go to the steak shop. We need to make sure we have about $12. I think it's like 11. Let's see, 11.95. We got the lamb leg. This is safety. Lamb leg, it gives you enough willpower to survive a death blow on its own. You don't eat it right there. It's a takeaway. They wrap it up for you real nice. Put a bow on it, all sorts of stuff. But it's useful because you don't have to eat it right away. So, let's say, for instance, that you're about to die. Ooh, there's the bait, by the way. I just did it again. Can I get you to do it? Probably not. That's okay. But basically, like, if you're running and running and running and tapping down so that you're down low enough that they'll miss, if you tap the opposite direction to come out of your dash, they're like, oh, now's my chance, and they'll just throw it and miss. Also, another fun fact here, and I used this at the very beginning of the run, if you have the higher ground, they stop moving. So you can manipulate that if you need to farm for any reason. Find a room that has higher ground, and once you get there, you can just do whatever the heck you want until such time as you're ready to fight. So, now then, let's say that you're about to die, right? Is there a good wall here I can run into? There's a wall over here. So, oh no, I'm about to die. But I paused before I hit the ground, right? Remember what I said? The ground kills you. I haven't hit the ground yet, so I'm not dead yet, but I am about to die. If I go into my belongings and eat the lamb leg now, boy, that was a great piece of meat, burp. Punch up to willpower, 48 up. And now, okay, it's like, all right, well, I accept my death, except I'm not dead. And that's because the willpower kicked in, and I have survived the death blow. I do wonder. So, like, my willpower went up. Yeah, so some of my willpower has been soaked up. But that's your backup. So, like, the cool thing about the backup is you stop at that one extra shop, you buy the lamb leg, and just don't use it. Don't use it right away. Just save it. You're just saving it as long as your reflexes have to be good enough to recognize when you're about to die. Like, if you're a little jumpy about it when you have no health, use it when you get to no health, but whenever. Don't feel like you have to waste time using it right away. You can just kind of save it until the time is right. So anyway, we are migrating. You want to abuse the fact that you have stone hands whenever you can, now that you have it. So it makes juking a little bit less scary, but not too much. It's still faster to just avoid everybody, but ideally you want to you want to be able to live more than anything, so feel free to punch people in the face. Yeah, and at this point, like, now that you've got the lamb leg, a death only costs you a little bit of time, but you don't have to worry about money or anything. And if I can get through here, now that I've made that purchase, I can show you a little quick way to get a quick refill too. So I'm gonna, oops, I shouldn't save state when I'm on the pause menu because that takes me into my menu. So I'll save state here. Now, so for the factory, the reason that I use stone hands, or one of the reasons I use stone hands instead of dragon feet, is that it makes this jump a little bit easier. We're going to try to do the factory jump. I believe it's like a 6-frame window or so from the time you get to the edge. You have to be at full momentum, and I would say you could probably still get to full momentum from, like, here, maybe? Let's see. Well, I should actually do the jump. Oh, also, if you get double internationals at the front, on the front half of this. So, okay. He stopped blocking again. Man, right as I'm getting to explain this stuff, and he just gives up. Oh well. I think probably from about here or so. This is probably enough room have to do the jump. Yeah, that's enough. He had the crate. That's awesome. Cool. Okay. So yeah, you don't have to be like all the way back to the door to get enough momentum. I'm curious where the line is. Like, what if I go from here? That's also good. Okay, cool. So you really, like, it. Sometimes it feels like you're running forever, and you don't have to be running forever to make that jump. But of course, if you fail the jump, or if you just don't feel like doing it, it's faster to not... Ooh, getting weird audio now. It's faster to not go for it than to go for it and miss it, because then you're like bouncing off of the inside wall there. So if you don't feel like going for it, just line up with the middle ground here and jump down, and then go in the door and come out the other side. It's not actually that slow. It's deceptive, because most people would lose time going like this and jumping too early, and then they bounce off of there, and then they gotta move down and get out of the way. That's the slowest thing you can do. But if you just jump down here, like, we gotta find the line though. Like, where's too far down? Is that okay? No, it's not. Is this okay? No, it's not. So maybe make sure that you're up here at the pixels here. It's deceptive. It really is. Maybe your pocket has to be at the pixels. That's pretty low. So that's pretty much the limit of your real estate there. And then, yeah. And then this run, obviously, if you have 0 health, you don't want to run into the door. So just tap left. Tap left somewhere around like here, and then just walk to the door. That's fine. So you have boss number 5, which is Thor. If you're not feeling froggy about running on this side, just walk up and jump onto the blue section here, and then hop down. You want to get him to spawn so you can see him. That's fine. This should be 5 or 6 rounds of stone hands. Should be 5 or 6. It's normally 5 for me, I think. Nah. Oh, maybe... Oh, you know why? You know why it's fewer? Maybe you do want to use the lamb leg right away. Because I ate the leg. Yeah, I got 2 punch. I got 2 extra punch. I get my falcon punch. So I can go in 4. And if you want to stay here and grab that coin, that's cool. It's up to you. And then careful. You can run into this pillar, and you can run into this wall. You don't want to run into either of those. So you want to come around here and get up to here. So this is a respawn point right here at Oak Hill. Like right here, this is a respawn point. And the reason that's relevant is that if you happen to get here and you're like, damn, I'm really low on health, I would hate to go to River City High School with no life left. Line yourself up with this pole and run into it. Oh, but of course, since I've eaten the lamb leg, it doesn't work, does it? If you haven't eaten the lamb leg yet, you can do this. But since I've eaten the lamb leg, I've got so much freaking willpower. You'd never believe how much stuff I can survive. My survival is so good. But if you haven't eaten it yet, and you're there and you're like, I have no health, I'd love a refill. You run into that pole and you show up in the exact same spot with full health. Obviously, there's a there's an asterisk on that. That part doesn't work if if you've eaten the lamb leg already. So contingencies. So you can use one. If you use that one before then yeah, okay, you got it. You understand. One of us understands, and that's the important part. Hardest room in the entire run is the next one. The juking pattern for internationals, which is the most common gang, is really gnarly for me. Like, I find that this is another one of those zigzag patterns. Like, if you just do like a down and then an up, one of them is going to grab the other weapon that's further on by the pillar, and they're going to whack you with it before you get to the door. All the time. So I find that I have more success doing more of a zigzag pattern, like an up, down, up. Like up to probably about here, and then down only a little bit, and then up some more. And sometimes I'm actually getting all the way up to the wall, so that I have to do a little like down tap around the pillar. But the hope is that when you're up there, you've managed to bait a weapon swing out of one of them. So that case, that one, it worked out. Oh man, I'm all the way back here. Somebody remind Yells to save states. We'll get there. It's all good. Let me just catch up real quick. Punch, punch, punch. So one thing you do, if you have eaten your lamb leg and you still have money, the one thing you can do to refill your health instead is go to the sauna. Go to the health club. There's an FFZ emote in here called Booty Time, capital B, capital T. You can use it if you care to. If you do 2 trips to the sauna, this is actually a standard backup strat. If things start to go off the rails a little bit in any speedrun, 2 trips to the sauna will refill your health and give you enough willpower to survive a death blow. We've already got the lamb leg in our system, so that's not necessarily what we're after, but can't hurt to have the health refill. Yo, Prolix, what's going on, man? So again, hardest room to juke. Let me see if I can get... That's actually a good bait pattern. No, he didn't. I'm hoping... Let's see. Nope. Nope. I really want to see the juking. Can you? No, you're not coming with me? Okay, fine. He won't cooperate. That's frustrating. Okay, anyway, let's just do the juking pattern. So up, down, up, and you're trying to bait that throw out specifically. That's the goal of the up, down, up, is that you want to bait that throw out so that he doesn't already have a weapon for when you try to leave. So really it's all about like making sure that you're moving up as you get close. And that's the time when it doesn't work, is when he doesn't bite. Oh, there it is. So I canceled out of my run, and he just chucked it. But I was not in a good spot compared to where he was. But that's the bait. That's what I want. I want him to throw it. So. I find my favorite pattern for this, and it's not necessarily the fastest, but it's certainly the safest for this last room, the high school exterior, is internationals with the tire. That's not internationals with the tire. That's squids with the tire. Nope. Also, this song is a banger. But that weapon priority that Will was mentioning, where they won't block when they're trying to go to a weapon, let me tell you how well that works here when there's a tire right next to you. So you kind of just stand below it, and you're good to go. You want to be able to dash there. You definitely want to get your dash input in. Okay, yeah, so you can just chill. Like, you couldn't ask for anything more later in the game. So, Ivan is the next boss, and he shouts, "Watch out for my headbutt." But if you let him loose, he's just going to come and grab the tire instead. So, again, I like to run up to him and punch him. But, like, watch. If he gets up, like, where's your headbutt, man? I'm standing right here. That's the name of the tire. But yeah, I typically just run up and punch right away. Again, spacing is just something that you have to kind of get used to. And yeah, eating that lamb leg ahead of time does seem to save a round on all the later boss fights. So there's probably some merit to not saving it as like the catch-all at the very end. They won't block while they're talking. They won't really do much of anything while they're talking. So, the first frame, every now and again, you get this weird thing where sometimes they kind of come out of the door late. I've hit him where it didn't even register that, like, you know, you hear the punch land, but then he's still just standing there. So I feel like the first couple of frames, maybe, or maybe the first frame as you're alluding to, The damage still counts, it seems. Thank you, Darth. The damage still counts, but you may not knock him down, at which point, just punch him again. I don't know if this pattern will yield that result. There we go. So I hit him. You heard it. And then I just line up and do it again. So the key is there's a window, and I apologize, I don't really know how big it is, but there's a window of time while they're getting to their feet. The window expands if you've got them into willpower and they're recovering, because then you've got tons of time to hit them again. But if they ever block when you're throwing stone hands and you feel like you're throwing it as they're getting up, then the solution is just that you attacked a little bit later than you should have, and you should just attack sooner. That's really the only thing that I can say, because like if I'm, now, I mean, he's not going to be a good example because he's not going to sit there and block. He's going to run off and get a weapon. So, but there are some bosses that are like that, where if you're a little bit slow, they're going to get up and block. But yeah, but I think to hopefully answer that question as much as you need, that's your solution. I don't necessarily have the full understanding of like how many frames you have. It feels like it's kind of a wide gap, particularly since if you throw stone hands, the earlier you throw stone hands, the safer you are, because you could just hit him with the third punch, and it's going to take a few more rounds to get him down, but that gives you more time, essentially. Like, you still hit him and knock him down again. I will say that his recovery might be a little bit wonky at that point. Yeah, during the stand-up animation is best. And the more comfortable you get with the timing, then the more you'll end up just punching as they're getting to their feet, pretty much. It's like you're already in the motion. Like, you're already doing the inputs, and he's still laying on the ground, but you know, because you've done this enough times, that he's about to get up, and I'm going to greet him with my fist. The high school, the game just gets super cheap, pretty much. You are underpowered, even with the lamb leg. The lamb leg, all that does is like saves you, it gives you more chances to die before you fully die. But some of the gangs you're going to run into here are really aggressive. I will say camping by weapons is helpful, but try not to stand on them because you don't want to pick them up. Or rather, like, you won't pick it up if you get your dash input in, but in the event that you were scrambling a bit and you don't get your dash input in, you don't want to. Also, if you hit that guy while he's in the air, like, if you hit that guy while he's in the air, one of two things can happen. He either won't die, like he'll land on the ground, but he won't die. If anybody ever lands on the ground and doesn't die, pick them up and throw them, but don't. Whatever you do, do not throw them. Here's another block fest. We'll just keep overlapping that sprite. Do not throw them against a wall, because the wall negates whatever throw damage you were going to do. So here, if I throw him... Oh man, I threw him too close to that thing. So if I... Oh, dang it. Guys. Okay. If I throw him against the wall... Okay. In that case, I had dealt so much damage to him that it didn't matter. But if I throw him against the wall, it negates any damage that I would have done to him, and he won't die. You could throw somebody against the wall over and over again. All you're going to do is cost yourself time. And also, you don't want to end up in that position. Also, if you have the choice, it's probably... If you only land one punch of stone hands on somebody... it's probably faster to throw a weapon at him if you can manage it. Look at that combo. Holy crap. How about this? Oh, I actually did kill him. Nice. So anyway, after you've managed to get through them, I usually align the bottoms of my feet up with this black line right here. Like this is where am I? Like right there. That's where I want to be. Right there. Do the John Madden thing. Right here is where you want to be. You want Ryan to be right about. Anyway, and then I just run. And I will say, if you punch too late, you'll hit the wall. So don't do that. So I wanted to illustrate that. And I probably should have saved my state. I'll save a state after killing these guys. Whoop. Ow. Right, yeah, that's another thing. If you're gonna fight around here, like everything's a wall around here. It's pretty nasty. Like that's a wall. Like this is a wall. Everything hurts in here. Like you don't want to get stuck in here either, because you can't move left or right. And if you're trying to fight somebody, it's so nasty. Also, you have to also be careful. If one of the gang members is stuck up here and you have to go get them, I try to line myself up like here, where like I can't get myself completely wedged in, and I'm not going all the way up, because remember, all your hitboxes scale upwards, like upwards on the Z-axis, so you don't have to be all the way up with him to hit him. So like you could be like here, and your punch will probably still land, or maybe you might have to get your feet up to like that line, but that's about it. You don't want to get anywhere closer. Yeah, everything's really nasty up there. So, all right, so I have a state saved. Good. Otis, my man. Like I like to run up to him. You don't have to do that. You know, you can wait until you see the whites of his eyes. And then again, you're just getting used to how long it takes. Yeah, everything's taking 1 round less than I normally expect it to, because I have already eaten the lamb leg. And then from here, the simplest way to get up, we'll go over harder stuff as well. Simplest way to get up here is to run until you get to this hoop, hold up, jump, press up again so that you hit your head, and then jump. If you don't do that, then guess what happens? You don't jump on the hoop. It doesn't make any sense. This whole gymnasium makes no freaking sense. But you're up to here so you can jump straight up, you bonk your head once, and then you can jump up. And then you're up, and you're in there. Okay? And then you run to the left. Not here. You run to the left of the door. What I like to do, I refer to as the Gymnasium Jump, because I'm not good with clever names for things, is if you get a full speed jump onto one of the bleachers, and in order to do that, like I run and I jump when I'm like here, like right in the middle of this grate of that like air conditioner vent or whatever the hell that is. Like when I get to like here, that's when I jump. So like I'm punching, Otis is dead, and then I go, hup, and now I'm on the second bleacher. My momentum is stored so that if I time it right and I dash and jump again, it will propel me up onto the top floor. But there's like three different results you can get when you try to do this. Oops, that's actually not one of them at all. So that was the bad one. But essentially, you want to make sure you get your double tap in. If you don't get a double tap in, you start walking, that kills your momentum. But like double tap and jump, that's the good one. That's what you want. It just propels you straight up. Like I don't think this is frame perfect, but you probably only have a handful of frames to do it. If you do it too early, then you just do a little jump like that. Your momentum is still stored though, and you can do a backup. You can just keep trying. What you want to avoid is the long, low arcing jump. So if you do this, and then you do that, your momentum is gone, and now you have to just go up the normal way. So that's too late and tough luck. But if you are too early, you can do it again. Cool? Cool. All right, up the door, up the stairs, up the stairs. There's an optional boss, the floor below if you want him. But hold on a second. Don't want you to miss tech. It's okay. I mean, again, it's a tutorial video, so it's not like it won't be here still. It won't be here in posterity. But from here, do a long run until you get to like here and then jump. Even though those guys are there, I still made it. And when you get here, your momentum is stored. You can still do another jump just as big as long as you get the timing right. If you're too early with your jump input, you'll just do a little tiny jump, which is fine. Like that. I jumped too early, and that's fine. I can try it again. My momentum is still there. Oh, but I lost it. Because that one was late. Also, this is a banger, by the way. So again, from here. And then you want to get another... Hey! Okay. So yeah, so that's in the tutorial. Now it's in there a couple times. And that's okay, it'll be in there again when we get to the harder route. Top floor stuff. Top floor time. Ideally, you want a weapon. Otherwise, you're gonna get internationals that just love to block. Or other gang members that just love to block. And you can't really afford the time loss. You don't want to anyway. Like, look at this, it's just a mess. So I prefer like Plague and Cowboys, because again, it's that same concept of weapon camping, where I'm just waiting, I'm trying to bait them into coming up and grabbing a weapon, and if they get anywhere near me, I just try to punch early. Punch early and often. And that's really all I'm looking for. Let's see, can I get a cowboy spawn maybe? Just to see if there's a different level of aggression here. Ooh, he wanted it. Oops, that is not what I wanted to do. That's my bad. It's so easy to make mistakes in this game, which is just the fun part. Alright, cowboys. Ooh, baby. Oh, baby. Try to overlap my sprite a little bit. I like to tap right to kind of move forward. They have no weapons. This is useless. This is not a very good example, because I want to show cowboys with weapons. Alright. Because from here, like, you really, like, if they're walking, if they're on your level, and they try to run up, and they try to run up, and they have a weapon, just run at them and punch them. If they're down low and they want to come up the Z-axis to try to pick up the weapon, then you can just kind of position yourself a little lower and either stand there and punch them. Like, you have to be careful. Like, you don't want to pick up any weapons, but like, looks like you can just be right below it and that's okay. Like, but that's too high. That sort of thing. And I'm teasing the music too. But like, you want to work on your reflexes so that you're just like jumping on them as soon as they go to pick it up. Because it's not free and easy by any stretch. It's pretty tight there. Dragon Twins. There's no easy way around this. There is none. There's no safe, like, I mean, there are safe ways you can do it. I have heard I could probably tinker with this a little bit if you want to see. I believe you can get to like there, and then if you wait, yeah, you can get one dragon twin to come out, but not the other one. So as long as you don't move to the right at all, you can fight them individually. But if you're doing a speed run, I'm not necessarily sure that this is the option that you want. Plus there's also that. and then he's unlocked him anyway. I'm just not a fan of that personally, you know, but that's just me. So, what I like to do is 7 rounds of stone hands, and then on the 8th round, I split them up. Because you can, again, and also you can walk up here if you want to see them. And I'm trying to, when I'm doing this, what I'm aiming for, like, I try to explain that there's like a window here where like my feet, I want my feet to be overlapped with the front twins' feet. That doesn't mean that you stop, that you punch there. You're probably punching like somewhere like back here, to be honest, because again, your momentum is carrying you forward. You have to slow down as you throw. But that's roughly the positioning that I'm looking for. But like, and that includes like when he's down, it's still, his feet are still overlapped with yours. Yeah, well, of course I didn't get the timing right on that because I paused. But yeah, I like to run up and punch them, but sometimes they don't behave like that, and then you just have to line up. Because here, this is what happens if you just kill them like that. Then they talk about how strong you are, and you can't go through the door. You really want to go through the door, but you can't. And you have to wait for them to finish talking, and then you can go through the door. It's a 10-second time loss. So what I like to do instead, instead what you want to do is, again, I always count to 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow. Oh, right. Lamb leg. Remember, if you have a lamb leg, you have to reduce 1 round from all this stuff. So we'll count to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who knew that 2 punch up was so much? And then you do that, and they don't talk. It's like magic. So yeah, I'm rethinking my recommendation to wait on the lamb leg. Because the lamb leg reduces all the rounds of all of these fights down the stretch by 1. But again, so just to try to re-illustrate here. So you see how I'm kind of overlapped, right? Like, I'm not completely overlapped with the first twin sprite, but we're close. Like, that's where you want to end up. So, like, again, if you push that back like a couple of frames, you're probably punching when you get to, like, there. So, like, that's really, again, it just takes practice. And I will say that I can't really, unless we break it down and slow it down to like frame data. However, you can take this VOD because I do have my input capture available, so you can see it. You can see when I'm pressing buttons and stuff. You can slow it down at your leisure and try to figure out the timing. Oh, he got loose. So now we're going to go back and forth. So one thing is... Oh, he blocked. Now they're both gone. Also, if you do hop kicks, they stop moving. Aw. Yeah, I'll upload this to YouTube. How about this? How about this? How about this? How about this? You see he keeps throwing me against the wall and I keep not dying. Aw, he died. Also, that skip doesn't work anymore if the first coin despawns. So if you're splitting them up and you kill one and then a lot later you kill the other one, then you do have to sit through the text again. And again, we'll go over this in probably roughly the same amount of detail when I do the other tutorial. And if they're not dead, you just do it again. You always want to be ready to do it again. Like, you see me running back to the door, but realistically, I'm running back and I am expecting them to not be dead. Because the moment you think they're already dead, that can be your downfall. Last boss. Simon just punches daylights out. People think he's a joke because the twins are so much harder, but if you give him a chance, he will destroy you. So, just be safe. It's the best I can say. And then watch my inputs for the happy dance. I hope they're showing up okay. Just tapping left, tapping right, tapping left, tapping right. Yeah, I mean, again, so have I, Green. It's so easy to die to Simon. It's so easy to take him for granted because you just got past the twins. And the twins are the big barrier to finishing the run. Like, not just killing them, but killing them and getting the dialogue skip. I would say that if you're gonna do Stone Hands first, that ideally you could work your way down to a time that starts with an 8. I'm not necessarily sure that you can get sub 8 Stone Hands first, unless you are really pushing it. Like, because again, the whole concept here is that like getting Stone Hands absolutely first. I wish. Oh, right, because can you go into the settings? Can you go into the settings and change the difficulty partway through? I wonder how long that takes. And that's probably why the categories aren't like any percent. I mean, that and like using passwords and stuff, but... But yeah, the big joke about the advanced difficulty mode is that everybody is super duper strong. Except Simon has like no stamina at all for some reason. Like maybe his stamina value overflowed. Like however they made everybody stronger, like bumped all their stats up by a certain percentage or multiple, that like it overflowed it, and then he suddenly has like no stamina. But that's essentially the big joke at the end. Like the old world record route that was done by like, Fiesel and by Darkwing Duck and Captain Goof, like there was no Death Warp. But they didn't do Stone Hands first, per se. They would probably, I think they would get a chain from the first room, and they would kill Rocco with the chain. And then they would run back, and by the time they've run back to Blade, they would run past him and go back to the very first mall and buy Stone Hands there. So Stone Hands absolutely first is definitely slower than that, and they kind of peaked and like capped out. Again, Captain Goof's run was 739, Darkwing was 740, and that was lots of grinding and lots of resets. So that's kind of where they were hitting their head on the ceiling of that route. So if you slow the run down a little bit more to get Stone Hands completely first, like, I'm not sure you can get under 8 minutes with that route. Luckily, there is a route where you can get under 8 minutes with.